Cap, it's all yours.
Great. And let me start by, I want to thank Joe and Fire Nuggets just, for just asking me to come on. I truly, I do not take these opportunities for granted. And I think one of the hardest things, and if everybody wants to, I don't know if emoji or put a thumbs down. I know we all feel a little funny about the webinars. I've done a couple of these, and it's definitely different. It's hard for me to sit still, so you're gonna probably see my hands go all over the damn place, because usually when I'm teaching, I'm walking like 100 miles an hour and trying to interact with every single damn student. I had the privilege and honor to get to do PDX, the last PDX, and I actually asked a guy a question that was in the balcony in the back row by calling out his color of his damn shirt, and got a question guy all the way in the very back of the auditorium. So please do not hesitate if I get too fast, or if there's something I said that you agree with, or even better, if you disagree with something I say, chime in. It's I think we learn from each other. I was telling Joe, I've never taught a class that I didn't walk away without learning 1 or 2, 3 or 4 new things that I wasn't aware of. So it's a great opportunity for us to talk and share with each other. So I'm going to start you guys with this, and this may be an opportunity. But I'm not going to play the whole video, but this would be a good opportunity to kind of lead us off into the importance of training. So here we go. Sound doesn't really matter. I may point out a thing or two if anybody from that fire department is online. This is not the bash, just to point out the critical factors of things. So typically what we do is we're going to look at this house, and again, the interaction is there, but this is a 2-story wood frame, single family dwelling. You've got a heavy fire on the Alpha Delta side of the house on the first floor. This is gravy fire, but the critical factor that from a training standpoint that we would want to look at here is the fact that we have a car with the door open parked in front of the house. And I think as you guys are kind of looking at this video, it should be a red flag that this is a definite, we need to make a hard push in here, because there's a really good opportunity somebody went back in the house or is inside this house. And this turns out to be a fatality fire.
Hey, Todd.
Yes, sir.
Are you share screen? I can't see it. I'm not sure if it's.
It says I am. It says you are screen sharing.
Perfect.
If you get any questions or anything.
Yeah, if anybody's not seeing it, just shoot us a message. Just want to make sure. I'm on my iPad too, so it might be a little different.
So we have the first arriving ninja, but here's the part of the training I want you to see. Everybody right now should be going, holy shit. If you can see my cursor, this is not what we want on our initial attack line, is a pile of spaghetti on the ground. But I'm going to let this play just another second, because I think it's important you guys see this too. Or the next, right there. That's not what you want from your first arriving engine. And what I try to get guys to understand when you look at these type of videos, kind of envision your wife or children trapped in that second floor bedroom. And we've got this going on outside, where we've got spaghetti all over the ground. Let me, there we go. This is at the most a 2-room fire. This is should right through the front door and knock this thing right in the mouth. Because you see, even their position now, they're getting some knockdown. The fire that's traveling outside is just outside surface burn. It's not a big deal. That's a quick hit, quick sweep with the second line. But we should be making a push in here and getting crews obviously to the second floor. So let me pause that right there for you. When we look at these videos, and what I try to get students, and when I'm ever doing any kind of training, and this is just, you know, my personal advice, we're not showing this video of this fire department to knock what they're doing. What the critical factor in this video is the fact that we had training issues. You can identify training issues right from the jump, and that's training issue one. Right there where you saw the hose hit the ground, that's a training issue. And that's one of those training issues that should be addressed on arrival back to the firehouse. We need to be addressing our hose load. We need to be addressing how we're pulling that particular flat load. So when we talk about training and the importance of it, I always go back to what we're really here for. That house is still savable. Anybody in there was savable, survivable, occupiable space inside that house. So we always want to kind of keep that in mind when we're looking at these videos and stuff. So it's not about a bash. And, you know, and unfortunately throughout the American Fire Service, guys pull up YouTube videos or they get on certain Facebook sites, and we just bash everything instead of saying, what can we learn from this, both the good and the bad, to make ourselves better. It'd probably be a safe guess that everybody that's, you know, out there and people who download and listen and watch the presentation can look at a fire and say, yeah, I've had that mistake, or I've had those screw ups at a fire. Now you get to make a choice. Are we going to get better and drill, or are we going to do the same exact thing the next time? Only next time it could be 2 kids trapped on the second floor. So this kind of some food for thought to try to get guys to, you know, kind of look at things and realize that there's more to it than just bashing. We can all learn from that. So typically in the class, in the interaction part, I'm a huge believer in this when it comes to training. When we talk about mentors, having that experienced and trusted advisor that you can always go to, whether it's a training issue, a personnel issue, a personal issue for that matter. So typically I try to get guys to see the big picture here, but the one thing that I think you should note more than anything else is this part right here where there's a white helmet actually changing out the air cylinder of a firefighter. And the reason I point that out when we talk about mentors, this was a fire. It was one of my very first fires. I was 16 years old at the time of this fire, and the guy changing the bottle was my dad. And in a sense, when we look at our mentors, it doesn't always have to be that guy who says, I am your mentor. He was mentoring not just me at this fire, but he's mentoring every individual in this organization by being a hands-on boss and not just sitting in his, you know, his SUV and staying warm and dry. He's out there with the guys, managing the scene. So look at your mentors the right way. I'll kind of show you a list of some guys and some beliefs I have about that as we kind of go through some of this. We kind of touched on, and I'm not a big rah-rah, look at me, what I do, but there are some defining moments in everybody's careers that should also motivate us. And in a lot of cases, some of these defining moments can be very difficult. They can be hard to talk about, but they should be moments that we look at as training opportunities to better ourselves in the American Fire Service. You see the 2 pictures, and just really quick, I did over 30 years with Atlanta Fire Rescue, made the rank of assistant fire chief, got into some trouble and went back to captain. That's a different class for a different story and a different day. But there was 2 very defining moments, you know, that I always kind of fall back on when I talk about training. And there's 2 fires that you see here in these 2 pictures to the left of the screen. The first one is Elm Street. It was a line of duty death in the city of Atlanta. It occurred on Thanksgiving evening. The firefighter that was killed at this fire had only been with the Atlanta Fire Department. That was his 3rd shift the night he was killed. He was on the nozzle. This was 2006, prior to where we were really talking about flow pass. We saw a lot of members on the organization that We're teaching and promoting. We don't open the nozzle until we see the fire, and that just did not work. This was not a flash over rapid fire development event. It was almost from fire modeling defined as a tragic, gigantic rollover event where all the gases from the open attic space to the floor lit off around Stephen Solomon. No water was ever applied by the initial engine company. Again, at that time of this fire, I was on duty. This was not my company at the time. I was on the other side of the city listening to this and knew it was really bad. And then was asked to develop training. And we actually started training our entire fire department while Stephen was still in the burn unit prior to his passing. And we literally started bringing guys to the site where this house was. This was a 32 by 36 vacant, one-story ordinary duplex. Is all this fire was. All that fire you guys see coming out of that front door is nothing more than gases. That's nothing more than smoke on fire. There's no contents inside the building. There's no furniture. There's 2 mattresses where the fire started at. That was it. That was the entire contents of the structure. And we end up losing a firefighter for absolutely no reason that night. So it was a defining moment the way I approached fires as a captain at the time. I was a captain on the job in 2006. But it really opened my eyes, and it really, in a lot of ways, changed the way I approached my training and in the way I looked at certain fires. Unfortunately, Stephen passed away after 6 days in the burn unit. He left behind a fiance, was going to be his wife, and 4 children. His oldest son now is with the Macon Bibb Fire Department, which is pretty incredible to look at that, the history of all this now. From the time that they arrived on the scene or the time they were dispatched to the time Stephen was being drug out of the Charlie side of this house was 15 minutes. It was less than 15 minutes. They went from Thanksgiving dinner to 15 minutes later, we have a firefighter who's, fatally injured in a very, very small fire. Please keep in mind when you guys look at this picture, if this is a different program that we do about a couple of these incidents, but everything you see fire-wise in this photo is nothing more than smoke burning. You can kind of see the amount of smoke just from this last board that was being pulled, but all these windows and that front door and everything was boarded up on their arrival. So it just had very, very, very heavy, turbulent black smoke boiling out of this thing. And again, for the whole program, we do the radio traffic and really break this whole incident down and how everything transpired. The other really, this again, there's a separate class, but I use it as a defining moment from a training standpoint. This is a near misfire, extremely large, 6-bedroom, 5-bath, basically a mansion in the city of Atlanta. At the time of this incident, I was the first arriving battalion chief, and I was the IC. We made an interior push. We pulled everybody out, had the bulk of this fire knocked down, and then the mistake I made from a situational awareness standpoint is I literally sent companies back in to this building to do overhaul. And the first member in, Lieutenant Clark Glass, got inside, touched the ceiling above him on the 2nd floor, and the entire 3rd floor space collapsed on top of him, pinning him face down up there. It took a unbelievable effort on the part of the rapid intervention team to free him and get him out. He suffered 2nd and 3rd degree burns to the back of both of his legs. When I talked to Clark, when they brought him down, this is on the Charlie side of this large house, and I'm on the street as I see. The first thing I asked Clark when he got down there, "Are you okay?" They said, "No, I'm good, Chief." And later, as I got to the hospital a couple hours later, found out he was not okay. He suffered significant burn injuries. One of the things that funny, I asked Clark because he couldn't do anything. He couldn't help in his own rescue the way he was pinned. And he told me that as he laid there and focused on his breathing from his training, because Lieutenant Clark Glass is not your average firefighter. This guy is an absolute hero type of guy. He's that kind of firefighter. I said, "What were you thinking of?" And he said he couldn't have trained more for that moment, and he was hoping there was a better paramedic than he was outside. And there's just an eye. And I said, "Why did you think that?" And because I don't know, that's what kept running through my head, that he was hoping there was a better paramedic out there. So it was interesting fire. But when we talk about the training component, being an instructor and teaching situational awareness, I lost my situational awareness this fire, and putting those guys back in for zero reason except to save time. The house was a total loss at this point. There was nobody inside. The house was actually vacant and under renovations, which we didn't know at the time. There was no reason at all. But from a situational awareness fires that we've all kind of been, guilty of doing, when we go in, we pull out, and then as soon as we get knocked down, we just throw everybody back in the building because we want to mop up and we want to get back in there. And that's understandable and in some cases commendable, but we get away with these unsafe actions sometimes, and we get away with it, and we get away with it, and we get away with it, and it sometimes comes back and can bite you right in the ass. And that's what happened on this evening. So it's one of those things that we do a whole program about this. I share the radio traffic and the decisions I made as an incident commander. One of the biggest lessons that I'll share that we learned is that training paid off at the end of this. Me and Chief Rose were very anal about our company training and doing multi-company drill, focused a lot on how to manage Mayday, how to do RIT operations. And it wasn't done on the engine room floor where you're just dragging a guy around in his jeans. We did full-blown operations to make sure our people were prepared if we ever had this moment. And I look back at that when we talk about defining moments, and thank God that we actually were prepared for something I had hoped we never would have to do. And that worked out. So those are some, when we talk about these defining moments, that's kind of what we're talking about. So I typically ask, and maybe we'll let some guys want to get a quick chat in or a question in here, that'd be great. And I always ask this: what's wrong with training in the fire service today? And I'll take any answer. I mean, this is an obvious one that we're kind of that everyone gets a trophy fire service. Nobody got hurt, so it was a great fire. We burned down this whole damn block, or we burned down that whole damn building. This is not something we should be proud of, but we don't tend to learn from these things. Joe, I don't know if you're getting any questions or anything like that.
Yeah, we're getting some now.
Awesome.
We got from Chris, one of the many Chris's, safety culture.
Yes. We actually developed a class about decision making in the safety culture solely on that reason, Chris, to be honest with you. So I love that. That's a great answer. Anybody else want to chime in with an answer to this question? I actually answered one on internet, or was replying to somebody on my text.
We got one. Oh yeah.
Okay.
Let's see here. Got a couple. Here we go. Dina, we have to be ready for a call. We can get tired. I'm guessing that's what some say.
Okay. I love you. There's a lot more behind that meaning that you can give you in one question, I guarantee you.
I'm sure. I'll come back to that one. Another from Chris Morrow. We don't train enough.
Yeah, that's a great answer there too. You guys keep chiming in. We'll show you what some things is talking to instructors, fire chiefs, officers throughout the country. One, the restrictions that have been placed on us as instructors, and I'm not saying that NFPA 1403 is a bad thing. It really is not, because if there weren't standards, we would literally have guys burning themselves alive to do live training. So there has to be, but the restrictions that have been placed with NFPA 1403 also makes it unrealistic. There have been talk about making 1403 even more stringent, to where Class A fires would be non-existent and we'd be using nothing but the gas props. I think that is by far the worst. I can't get fired, so I'm good with this. The worst decision ever made would be to go that route.
Dina likes what you said better. Give a damn is broken.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's and we'll kind of touch on that, but we all need to be aware and alert if that standard changes. It's a very dangerous precedent that's being discussed. One of the other things I really found, and hopefully you guys will kind of chime in and agree or disagree with me, we are expected to know everything about everything. And everything from being good firefighters, to good apparatus operators, to good paramedics, to good EMTs, to good swift water, to good wildland firefighters. There's so many disciplines. How do we hone in and be good at the one job nobody else can do? And nobody else is going to make that push interior to save that child or save that family. So I think that's something we have to always be aware of, and fire chiefs need to figure out how they're going to balance these things out. I think one of the big ones I hear a lot, and I hate that this is still a case talking to guys, that training is just not a priority. It's either not a priority with the organization or it's not a priority within that certain company. I know organizations where one station is just over the top with their training. They do a great job. They drill every day. And I know companies that have that, you would have a hard time getting their hose off the rig because they haven't stretched a line in 6-7 months. So it has to become a priority, and hopefully we'll be able to give you some answers and help you with that tonight. No facilities, just a bullshit excuse. If you have a fire station, you got a training facility. Just got to get creative, and we'll kind of touch on that. Distractions, we allow ourselves to get distracted away from our primary mission, and that's helping other people. No matter what that looks like to you guys. Don't get distracted. We are only here for one reason, and that's to help other people, whether that's an EMS round, a vehicle accident round, or a structure fire. But we can't get distracted from that. We have to stay focused on the mission. Minimum standards, you're going to produce minimum results. I hate that we have. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Jeff.
No, yeah. So yeah, Ken Bowman, that's something he mentioned here. He said we only train to go through the motions instead of training until we get it right. And you're kind of going down that line of we have a minimum standard. So I've seen that work in different departments that we have a minimum standard, but that's it. So we check the box. We do it in the amount of time that the standard's been set to, and then what?
Right.
We don't build upon those basic components, and that's it. We stop there.
I think one of the things that I try to emphasize when I'm developing, when I do instructor development courses, is that no fire is burning at a minimum temperature. There's no way to set parking lot standards. If I'm stretching the parking lot on a training ground and I can't do that in 1 minute or a minute 5, then I probably don't want to be on the damn job ever anyway. So we've got to take those minimum standards. Great to start a base, but after the guys can stretch the line in the parking lot, an apartment complex, let's go where we got to stretch line, between 2 homes, through yards and all those things. I don't know. I got a weird message on my computer. We so good. I got a weird message about internet.
Yeah, we're
okay.
Yeah,
and then the one that Dina pointed out, I think that certain organizations we do have, or we have just asked, and I think it's even more so right now in the American Fire Service and throughout the country, is we just don't give a damn. You're beat down with this, and you got this COVID protocol: wear your mask, don't wear your mask, wear your uniform, don't wear your uniform, and it becomes a distraction, and it gets to a point that guys just don't give a damn, or they're short timing, so they don't give a damn either. So that's where the challenges are, and literally, I guarantee if we asked everybody online and across the country, make me a list of what's wrong with training, that list would be 20 pages long with 1,000 different things, and it's going to be based on a part. But these are things that I hear the most of, either as excuses or, but the big one that I hear the most is it's not a priority. And that's something you can fix. If you're a company officer or you're a boss or going to be a boss, your priority. Cleaning, I always tell guys, the bathroom's going to be there at 12 o'clock. We'll clean the shitter today, guys, but we're going to go drill first. So we have to be where our priorities are. The bathroom's going to get clean. let's get the drill for the day before we worry about bath. And we'll kind of give you a system for that too. Joe, do you have something?
I'm gonna write that one down. We're gonna make that a t-shirt. The toilet will be there at 12.
Yeah, or the shit, or whatever you guys want to put it.
All right.
Chief Nick Martin said, "I love this quote. It's one of the coolest quotes I've ever seen by anybody in the American Fire Service. 99% of the outcome of your next fire is already determined by your actions before the." Basically, what he's saying is your training. To make it real simple, your decisions on whether to train, whether not to train, how we're going to train. You're deciding the outcome of the fire. You're deciding the outcome of people trapped. You're deciding the outcome. Are we going to burn down just the house or just that one apartment or half the block? Solely based on the act taken before the fire. Remember the video where the guy is pulling the flat load and it literally just falls right to the ground and this big pile of spaghetti? Those actions were determined before they pulled up at that 2-story wood frame single family dwelling. They had already made those decisions. Not saying they're bad firefighters, not saying that the bosses at that department are bad, but that should be a video they go back and look at. Not as, look at all that fire. That's really, let's look at what we did wrong and let's fix that outcome. So the next fire, we pull that hose and we're making that hard push in under 30 seconds or at a minute, whatever your benchmarks are as an organization. But this is one, if you guys got cameras or screenshot, whatever you guys want to do, this quote by Chief Nick Martin is absolutely spot on when you're talking about training or making that decision whether you're going to drill today or if you're not going to drill. So training, and I'd like to use a lot of these things when I talk about this pro, is these are things that if you have that guy in the house or you have that organization or those bosses, whatever you guys are dealing with, from not being able to make it a priority, it is absolutely the most important thing that you can do just for yourselves. Me and Joe were talking earlier. He's at the hospital. His wife's getting checked, and he has one child. He's another one. The most important thing Joe can do for himself and his family is to be well trained at this job. And the better trained we are, I always love it when we throw out the safety word. The safer we are. If we know our jobs, we're a hell of a lot safer than if we don't know how to pull a hose line or take a window or understand fire behavior. So obviously, as a boss, it's the most important thing I can do for my 21-year-old firefighter right behind me that day. One of the things that when I do officer development courses, you guys can take this to heart. You're not, and let me see if we get a couple. What are you actually in charge of as a lieutenant on an engine company? If anybody wants to respond to that, give me any damn answer you want. Let's see if anybody gets it right. What you're truly in charge of as a boss on an engine company. Anybody replying to that?
We get one said your people.
Okay, awesome. Perfect, right on the right track. And that person is
Carlton Yinlin.
Carlton's 50% right. He's only half right with that answer. Anybody want to try to fill in the other gap?
We got another one. His name's anonymous, and it is.
That's a cool name.
It is unique. Responsible for the wellness and safety of your people that day.
Love that. He's another one that is exactly half right. So here's the other half. Oh, go ahead. Love it.
Yeah, right in line. Your crew and their training, your people and their actions.
Mm-hmm. All those answers are right. And here's the gap on what you guys kind of remember when you're making a decision about drilling. You're not just in charge of your people, but please, please, please always mentally walk in the door with this in the back of your heads. There is a wife, a child, multiple kids, moms, dads, boyfriends, whatever they have in their lives that actually are counting on you as a boss to make those people come home. So when we make mistakes, and I use Stephen Solomon, and you saw that example I gave, He left behind a wife and 4 kids. That's on us as bosses, not making sure that our firefighters are ready and we're not doing the right thing. So the most important thing we can do for our crew and ourselves is to train. And it's one of those messages that I love using when we're talking about new officers, about always keep in mind that, not just your family, but the guys that you're in charge of that day have families as well. And most of you, probably your families want you to come home. So let's make sure that we're doing the most we can for ourselves and the guys that we're responsible for. Obviously, and there's no rhyme or reason to this order, so don't go, oh, he's putting ourselves first. That's not what we're doing here. The most important thing we do for the people that we serve is to be trained to do our job. And that, always that in mind when we're doing drills. What if we run into this? All right, this is what we're going to do. What if we run this? Oh, we're going to try it this way. So we always got to keep that in mind, people. And I always kind of look back at this way. Do you want a fire department, the first engine arriving with 2 or 3 guys, 4 guys, wherever you live at, and they can't get the hose off the rig? The most important thing we do for the people we serve is be able to do our damn jobs and do them well. Not good, not okay, but do them well. Actually master the art of pulling a hose line and throwing ground ladders. I think is a really critical thing in there. This I thought was really cool. And if you've ever seen this movie or know anything about this, for 42 years, I made small regular deposits of education, training, and experience. And the experience balance was sufficient that on January 15th, I could make a sudden larger withdrawal. And that's Captain Sullenberger, who landed an airplane in the Hudson River. One of the things I always recommend to people, you can go to YouTube, and it was more of the National Geographic, the movie, it's a movie, but the National Geographic version of the whole story, his interview, the actual tower radio traffic between him and the tower at the airport is bone chilling. But when I saw this quote, and Captain Sullenberger's made thousands of incredible quotes, this one to me applied more than anything else when we talk about training. And as airline pilots, military folks that that have military backgrounds, training is ongoing. Sullenberger had 42 years of flying, everything from military to the commercial, but he continued to train, he continued to educate himself, and every time he went up in the air, gaining experience. So when the worst possible scenario happened, he had all his education, all his training, and all experience to land that plane, and nobody even got a bruise. I don't think. I think there was a bruise. Nobody died that day. It's the most amazing landing, and hopefully it'll never happen again. But it's something I always try to keep in mind. So when you're doing drills, or you're taking a class, or you're doing a webinar, you're getting education, training, and experience all wrapped in one. Every time you go to a medical call, that's an opportunity to get educated about that house, educated about that territory, do some training by talking about size up, and that gains, every time you do a size up, you're building into your experience bank. So when that night comes, it may be a house you've been to 5 times, but that's more experience you're getting, more education and more training. I think it's a really cool way to look at the way he described that he was able to use all those things over a 42-year career to successfully make that landing. And it's something, I strongly recommend you guys look at the National Geographic video of this. All of us, and again, I think some of the things that Chief Brunacini did for the American Fire Service will live long after all of us are long, long gone. But one of the things that, and if you've never taken a class from Ray McCormack out of FDNY, he says things that always kind of always takes something away listening to Ray speak. But I thought, he posted this. This was a couple years ago when he posted this. To save a lot, we drill little to save little. We don't drill and save nothing. And I thought it was, when he just basically spun one of the Chief Brunacini's things about fire ground safety. We risk a lot to save a lot, blah blah blah. But he just kind of spun it when it came to training. And the more we drill, the better off we're going to be. This job is always going to be life first. I think we all agree with that. Life's the number one, their lives and our lives, obviously, but their lives first. But property also comes into play. I was recently at Officer Development Program helping Chief Isaacson. I thought it was something really cool he said when we talked about saving property, and fire chiefs, some firefighters, maybe even somebody listening. I hope not. I think most guys that listen to these webinars are looking for something else. They're not using things for excuses. But yes, insurance replaces furniture. Yes, insurance replaces property, but insurance doesn't replace. I love the example that Chief Ike gave. His dad's military flag. His dad's passed away. Certain things in my office that I'm in right now that insurance cannot replace. I'm at my wife's grandfather's desk that I don't know, I think it's got to be 1 billion years old. Insurance not replacing this piece of furniture. I'm not saying we're going to risk our lives to save this grandfather desk or to save Kurt's dad's American flag, but property does mean things more so than just what insurance can replace, whether it's memories, something your parents left you, something that, something that your child did. So we want to kind of keep that at heart with, especially, a one-room fire, there's and rip out every piece of damn sheetrock because the mattress was smoldering. So when we talk about the training, it's more than just the lives. It's also about properly placed hose lines save a lot of lives, but they also save a lot of property. So it's something we kind of look at, and I always try to bring this up. And I love the way Ray described and the way Chief Ike described about property is more than just furniture. There's a lot of other things in all of our homes that we don't want to see destroyed, especially when there's a chance to say that. Some of you are probably too young to remember this commercial, so let me play this for you. The reason I show this video, especially now, if you look at, every time you turn around, there's some new thing about the Rona, or there's some new thing that you're going to turn into a zombie if you get the vaccine, or there's some new fancy gadget on the market that, oh my God, you got to buy this shit because that's what's going to put out all your fires. And the reason we bring this up, oops, sorry about that, is that we have these overreactions, and we have the social media experts, and all of us have seen it, or we've heard of a story or whatever, but we like trendy things. The American Fire Service can be very trendy in the way we approach our business sometimes. Just because something is shiny and new does not always mean that it's better. Sometimes a good old-fashioned solid bore tip beats the crap out of some $8,000 fancy 18 adjustable fog nozzle. So just because it's shiny new does not always mean that it's the greatest thing ever. Line of duty deaths is always a big subject matter for a lot of instructors, a lot of officers, and I get that, and it's something we're kind of touching on, obviously, but every year we see these numbers. What I tell everybody, or I highly recommend, first off, when I teach the safety officer program, homework assignment, and if you've never read a full-blown, true NIOSH report, I can't make anybody do anything, but I recommend you go to NIOSH and look and read line of duty death reports. And if you're really into doing something like this, if you're an instructor and you're doing safety officer training, whether it's the National Fire Academy class or something to your own fire department, have each student do a NIOSH report, and then you can list common denominators. It could be a fatal fire out Phoenix, a fatal fire in Maryland, a fatal fire in Florida. Guarantee if you'll take the time to do this, you'll see common denominators in all three of those reports, whether it's poor incident command, poor communication, poor fire ground size up. There's going to be something, even though they're totally different fires in different parts of the country, things will line up to be where you can say, wow, that happened, this fire, this fire, this fire, and this fire. Excuse me. I do not have coronavirus, so don't freak out. I can't give anybody the coronavirus over the internet, I don't think. Of course, somebody can type that in the Facebook, that you can get coronavirus on Facebook, and that shit will be trending before we get off of here tonight. More important than they are. That's, again, I think that trend, and I think Cody, Brothers in Battle, Chief I, Greg McCormack, Mike Champo, and a whole host of other guys across this country who are teaching all over the place. I think that's actually, that trend is finally starting to switch, that we're making our citizens the priority again and not ourselves. Everybody on here that works for a fire department wears safety equipment. The problem is with safety equipment, most of our folks don't understand what safety equipment does. So understand your gear, and you'll be amazed at what that equipment's really designed to do. I know clean cabs is the big trend right now. We're going to put the BAs outside, and we're not going to get cancer if we have the BAs outside. And then again, social media is funny sometimes, where you see the saying, clean cabs don't make grabs, and there's a whole host of other things. But sometimes we overreact. Cancer is definitely a reality in the American Fire Service. I think there's a lot more studies that have to be done before we say it's the breathing apparatus straps giving us cancer, or the gear. Is it the gear itself, the way it's being made? Is it these other things? Another, depending on where you're at in the country, diversity is always out there. We got to have more of this, we got to have more of that. I tell young officers, I tell new officers all the time, everybody's diverse. It's not about skin color. So if you have that, if you don't know what diversity is, it's not about just skin color or sex. All of us are diverse people. All of us have likes and dislikes, but we all have that common goal that we want to do better for the American Fire Service. That starts with training and learning about each other. I think, with society today, that's something that we need to really take to heart. The social media experts, I'm sure there's somebody online tonight who will look at this. If you don't know it, you shouldn't be talking about it, is kind of my advice to all instructors. There's certain things I do not teach. I don't teach other firefighters how to drive fire apparatus, because I was shitty at driving fire trucks. I can't show that picture right now, but I have a picture of a fire truck on fire. That was my fault. So I don't teach driving. There's certain things I don't teach things with power tools, because if I'm teaching you something with a power tool, more likely you will lose a finger, an arm, or a leg. It's not my wheelhouse. So we shouldn't be teaching things or saying things. I don't know how many of you scroll through the Hit It Hard from the Yard guys. Some of their stuff's kind of funny, but they posted a YouTube of a firefighter. Not gonna say where. I'm not gonna tell you how to find this video. And this guy is talking about how he started fighting fire at 9 years old. And, you can, the first 8 minutes of the video, you can just go ahead and go, this guy is so full of shit. Pay attention to who you're following. Only listen to the guys who have truly been vetted. I love the fire nuggets. The guys they talk to and utilize, I have no doubt they try to vet these folks and make sure. So I'm not going to say who this is. I don't like throwing names out, but when we talk about overreaction and the internet, don't buy everything you read. An article came out. I'm not going to tell you what publication came out in, because it got blasted throughout the country, where this retired fire chief is telling the American Fire Service that we need to treat all structure fires as hazmat incidents, and that our priority will be just to educate the public about fire prevention. I agree with educating the public, and that we're going to hold our citizens legally and financially liable if they don't prevent a fire in their home or business. Lightning strike, that's okay, but if you did something like left food on the stove, we're going to hold you financially responsible for us coming out. All fires will be fought from the exterior. This is that line right there is what sent everybody over out of their damn minds, blasting this guy. And once we got the atmosphere cooled, we're going to send in LRTs, loss reduction technicians, and level A suits to conduct overhaul. This is the overreaction in the American Fire Service sometimes, or these are the things we see or read, And guys will read this and not vet it and just lose their mind and start coming to the fires going, gee, we're only going to be outside firemen. Vet who you study, vet who you read. Please always do that. We'll give you a list of guys. When we get to it, make sure you screenshot it. One of the things we want to do with training, and I'm always kind of blown away that more of our folks don't know this. So I'm going to throw this question out here. How many civilians die roughly every year in house fires? So if anybody wants to throw out an answer, I'd love to hear where you guys think. And some of you may know right off the top of your heads, which is awesome. See, we got 12. We got some responses. Joe, are you still there, or do you have to go check on your wife? You may have checked.
Sorry, yeah.
Oh, you're fine.
20,
You're fine.
You can see it?
Yeah, I pulled it up because I thought maybe you had to go, which was fine, bro. Yep. Yeah. And the answers I'm seeing right out of the rip, that 3,000 to 25 to 2,700, and it varies obviously year to year, is exactly right. And we need to understand that number. We're seeing these rise in numbers, even though we see a decline in fire. So the numbers don't always match up. One of the other things I always recommend when we study line of duty deaths, look at the real numbers. Don't go, oh my God, we've had 98 guys killed last year, 2001. Oh, sorry, did you have something, Joe?
No.
Oh, okay. Last year we were in the 90s again, but I want you to take time to really look at the numbers, and you're going to see we're one of the leading causes of death. And already this year, I want to say I just saw the number. I apologize for not knowing off the top of my head, 18 or 19 already for this year. I think all but one are COVID-related deaths this year already. That's a huge number for last year's line of duty deaths was COVID-related. Then you throw in cardiac incidents, motor vehicle collisions, wildland firefighters. All these numbers come together one lump sum. So when you talk about training, you say you keep hearing the safety first crap, understand where these numbers actually are coming from. We don't just pull from small departments, volunteers, full times. These numbers are pulled from every line of duty death, whether it's a volunteer or full time. So these numbers can really add up. What's really interesting when we start breaking down these numbers, the actual line of duty deaths that occur while actually engaged in interior firefighting are extremely, extremely low, where you may see numbers from 2 to 5 to 7. I'm not promoting that 7 deaths is good. 0 deaths is the number we want, obviously, but don't get freaked out when you see 98, when you see, 75. Read the whole report at the end of the year, and one thing you guys can get is updates from the United States Fire Administration. So anytime there's a line of duty death, I get an email, and that email allows me to kind of look at it. I may actually have one. I'm real quick. I'm not going to search through every email I get. I was hoping I could pull one up real quick, but I may have already filed that one. But those notifications, the first thing I do is I look at age. We have volunteer firefighters in this country, and God bless them, that are 85 years old, and they pass away at the scene of a car fire, not because the fire got them, because they're 87 years old and they had a heart attack at that car fire. Understand the numbers. It's not just a lump sum. So those one things I've really with our training officers and our chief officers to really delve into the numbers before you start blurting out that, I found one. This one was from January 13th. Chief Danny Watkins contracted COVID-19 while on duty, passed away from the virus on the 12th. Age 67, gender male, status career, years of service 36. So that was 12 as of that date I gave you. So it's a really cool tool to learn and educate yourself about line of duty deaths versus, oh my God, 98. So it's something I try to get, our instructors and people to really, really take a hard look at. Let's see what I'm doing here. I'm not moving up. Oh, and it's funny, me and Joe were talking about there's always an issue when you're doing these classes.
Yep.
Oh, yeah. There's always going to be something. Let me try. Yeah, I'm kind of not moving. Can you still see my Joe? My screen's still up, correct?
Yeah, safety first. Still
Okay. All right. Yeah, I may have to exit out and come back in for some weird reason.
Yeah, that's all right.
But, yeah. The thrill of doing
Virtual.
these kind of classes. Yeah, the virtual classes.
It's an experience.
It's something every single time, that's for sure. Nope, I'll have to go stop and come back in. Sorry about that, folks. See if we can get back up now. That is awesome. I probably just have so many things. I may have made a mistake of leaving way too much open today, too. I apologize. See if we can't get up and run again here real quick. You become a expert this time. Not an expert, I'm an expert at this. I'm over here looking for the slideshow. It's on the other side. Let me see if I can get it to move again. There we go. All right, so we talked about safety first. Yes, I believe that, yes, we can make. I'm sorry, you good, Joe?
I'm still seeing your file, your folder. I don't see the screen. I see your screen, but not the PowerPoint.
Ask her if you can get some feedback. Make sure see if it's just you again. Dita, if you're solicited, are you seeing my screen folder?
Yeah, only a folder.
Only a folder. Okay.
It's not just me this time.
No, it is not. I don't know why. Let's try. Let's try that. Go back to this. You guys don't need to see my calendar. How about now?
Still the folder. Maybe try just exiting out completely. When in doubt, power out.
Yeah. And I hate that we're running in there because we were rolling along really nicely too.
We were, I know. I shouldn't have said anything at the beginning.
You did, you jinxed us. What you got now?
Your face.
Oh, awesome. That's not good.
Dina likes it. That's, yeah. She's
lying. She's lying.
Hey, let's see. There we are. We're getting closer. Go to that slide show.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah.
Wish me luck, Dina. You may have to call me and tutor me up here.
Hey, we're there.
How about now?
Good to go.
All right. Don't know what I did. Don't know what I did.
That was an impromptu intermission.
Yeah, there you go. So hopefully everybody ran to the bathroom real quick. So yeah, we can be safe. And one of the things, and one of the people that's actually on here tonight is Dina Ali. You guys can figure out how to reach her. But one of the things that's really interesting, one of the things that Dina really does a great job of is talking about firefighter suicide and the mental and physical aspects of our job. And that is a big part of our safety. If we're not mentally prepared for our job, we're going to have issues. And obviously the physical aspect is obviously a major component. I think we've actually really turned the corner on the physical side, or you guys have really found a lot of really, really cool steroids, because every time I go to a fire station, I am literally the smallest guy in the firehouse anymore. So that may be a good thing or a bad thing, but we have to be mentally strong and healthy too, because of the things we have to go through, both for ourselves and our families. Training education keeps us safe. I cannot overemphasize enough of how important that training and knowing more about the job every single day. And me and Joe were having that conversation before we came live about how important it is to really look at all the avenues that are available, and how we can educate each other and know and get to know things from each other and share and do a better job of networking. Staying up to date, obviously there are 1,000 avenues out there. Vet them. UL studies are phenomenal. Again, don't apply it to everything, or don't do what a lot of departments unfortunately did. They read only part of the report, and so we're going to do that, and they didn't read the whole report. So make sure you stay up to date, and if you have questions, man, I'll call somebody in a heartbeat if I have a question. Here's one of my favorite. I'm going to be polite tonight and not go over the edge with this. In doubt, flow water. I tell this all the time. Flow water. I know it sounds real simple, but if it's dark and hot and smoky and you're scared, open the nozzle. Just open the damn nozzle. It's going to make things better. It beats the hell out of waiting for the fire to light up around us. Open the damn nozzle. I just, a buddy of mine from another organization shot me some pictures from the fire he was at. And this thing it's a small 1-story wood frame house, fired pretty much all Charlie side. As they make their push, one, the engine company boss is standing up. Two, they do not flow water. Obviously, when we opened the front door, we created a flow path. All the heat and everything that was still in the house is now coming right towards us as the attack team. And we end up with guys getting burned, where all they had to do is literally, the house was small enough that I could open the front door, open the nozzle, and probably put out over 50% of that fire from the front door, and then made my final push to get the rooms in the front that still had to be searched. Instead, we tried to push to the rear of the house under extreme conditions. We end up getting members hurt. Flow water. It's not going to do anything except put the fire out and make things better for all of us, including victims. If you've never seen it, you can go on YouTube and look up the Fort Walton Beach video of Captain DJ Stone, who's a friend of mine, and his crew making an incredible grab. And when they clear the window, the lady behind the boarded up window is a vacant house. You can hear her yelling for them to help her. Fire literally lights off the gases above her out the window, and they flow water into the compartment, but they flow it correctly. They keep it on. They have a solid bore nozzle. They float it into the ceiling. They cool the gases. They make a BES. They jump in, grab her, bring her out, and I think she's out of the hospital like in less than 3 days. So study this a lot more, but in doubt, flow water. Just flow water if you're in doubt about something. Again, we have to be aware of these things. This is one of my favorite little tools. If you've never seen this little tool, I'm not going to say what to do about this little tool. I'm going to let you guys decide. This is a nozzle that you can have fog, and you can pull back this little collar, and it drops to a solid bore. You guys can make your own decisions and judgments. Remember, we talked about shiny and new. You see one, he has a pistol grip, not a fan of the pistol grip, not a fan of the way he's holding the nozzle. There's a whole different training. But shiny new, seek out valid information about equipment, tools. Just because it looks like it's going to work, you should not go out and buy 85 of these and then find out this isn't going to work. Seek out valid information when you talk about training. When you're talking about tools and equipment. Research it and confirm your research. Just because it was on Twitter last night does not make it true. So make sure you research these things. If you're not 100% sure and confident, You shouldn't be teaching it. You shouldn't be training on it. You shouldn't be saying it. It's one of those things we talk about, some solutions to make training better. These are some of the things we always recommend. This screen, I want you to, I'll leave it up there now. Some folks in the fire service today that I strongly recommend. And there's a whole other. I literally had like 3 slides. I thought that's a little over the top, so I kind of scaled it back a little bit. Some of these guys are out on the West Coast. Some of these guys are in Florida. Some of these guys are on the East Coast. But everybody on here is top shelf firefighters, top shelf instructors, and know what the hell they're talking about. And if you have questions, if I need to know something about how to advance hose that I don't know, or I want to try something new, that's who I'm calling. I'm going to check with Aaron Fields, Command David Rose, Mike Turpak. Bill Gustin's been around for, I'm not going to say how long Bill's been around, but it's been a long damn time. And he's still training people all over the place. He's out of Miami-Dade. Justin Mann's incredible, most quiet instructor ever, but the most knowledgeable instructor I've ever met in my life. Brian Brush out in Oklahoma. I literally could give you a small resume on everybody on this list. And if somebody said, hey, how about that Ron Smith guy? Yeah, Ron Smith is out of Gary, Indiana. Ron Smith goes to a lot of jobs. He's an incredible ladder instructor. I would call him in a heartbeat. Obviously, Chief Ike, Ray, Steve Robertson out of Columbus, Ohio, another incredible engine guy. Take a screenshot of that or phone, whatever you want to do. Obviously, one of my favorite conferences of all time, and me and Joe were having this conversation, is PDX in Portland. It was the most humbling experience I've ever had as a speaker. These are all based in Florida, in the Panhandle, in Pensacola Beach. Like I got that listed twice. It's high-rise operations. It's the only high-rise operations class in the entire world where you actually blow water in a high-rise building. We blow water out of the 17th floor of the Hilton Hotel. That's coming up next month. Water on the Fires, all engine company, command officer boot camp, officer development, all these incredible things on top of the FDICs and the firehouses. So these are things you guys can look up. And there's another one. If you need to know something about engines, hose, nozzles, how to put an engine together, that's your guy. He's right there in California. And probably, he's way smarter than I ever can imagine being, and just an incredible guy to speak with and learn from is Dennis Laguerre. So those are things. So I get asked this, and I'm sure Joe's been asked this. I'm sure some of you with some time in have been asked this: what should we train on? And it's funny because I made that on the earlier slide. We talked about how we're trying to learn 1,000 disciplines and we never really get good at anything. So one of the things I always recommend at a company officer level is this: train on what you guys do. If you are an engine company, train on what you do the most of, and that's pulling hose and packing fire, obviously. The other end of that, though, is what you could do. And if you're on an organization where it's a 3-station, 3-engine organization, you could be the second arriving engine and need to, yes, you should be training on those skills as well. But always focus on the things we really do. And what's funny is we'll spend on this countless hours on EMS training, but then we'll spend 20 hours in the year stretching hose lines, or 30 hours, based on your state's requirements on ground ladders. Master these basics, because every fire, kind of look at this in this is a different way to look at things sometimes. Every fire we go to, whether it's alarm bell, kitchen fire, 3-story wood frame stick in it, every fire we go to, we use basic skill sets first. Putting on turnout gear and our SCBA is a basic skill set that we should be masters of. Stretching a attack line, whether it's a pre-connect or a dead bed off the rear, are basic skill sets that we should be masters of without having to go, hey, what do you think? What do you think? How should I pull this? How should I pull that? We should just automatically do that because we've mastered that skill because we drilled it and drilled it and drilled it. when, and if you're curious about it, do something that you haven't done for a while, like a ground ladder drill. Don't allow the guys to talk about it, to say, need a 35 or a 24, 28, whatever you guys are carrying, to the second floor, windowsill for rescue. There should not be, all right, you turn this way, you turn that way, you pull the halyard down, do this. It should be an automatic thing because it's a basic skill set that all of us learn in Firefighter 1. So master these basic skill sets. You don't need to have these big, dramatic, 15-hour drills. If we master the basics that we're going to use at every call and every fire, we're going to be a lot better. This is a real simple thing. The majority of, if you can research this, 10,000 hours, 10,000 hours in one area just to be an expert in it. In the fire service, when I kind of took the math and broke down shift work and all that, 9 years in the fire service to start mastering all these things. We can shorten that with more training and more experience and more fires, obviously, but that's a lot of hours. I don't know what everybody department, statuses or what they're required. State of Georgia, to maintain your firefighter, just to maintain your firefighter is 24 hours. 24 hours just to maintain my firefighter certification. I'm not going to be an expert at tying my shoes over the course of 24 hours and 365 days. But then you add in, if your department is ISO rated and all those things, and you start getting into the 100 this, 200 this, and but there's these are things we want to kind of keep in mind when we talk about how much we should be training. We'll kind of touch on that, obviously. If you haven't seen this, and again, these are something that's kind of funny to see. I thought when these commercials and first came out, I immediately went and downloaded this one. Nobody wants just the okay fire department showing up at their house. And again, when you're talking about if you're looking for ways to keep guys on point and keep guys motivated and kind of remind them of the importance of what we truly do in the American Fire Service, ask them if they just want on their fire department, on your fire department, do you want just those okay guys showing up, or do you want the 3 best, 2 best, 5 best, whatever you guys run with? You want the 5 best guys showing up to your house to get your family to save your home. No firefighter ever is going to say, just give me those okay bastards. That's fine for what I got going on. So always kind of look at that, and because as firefighters, the one thing, whether it's West Coast, East Coast, North, South, wherever you're at, these are by far, and I've talked to guys all over the country. I started putting some of this together, some of the most common excuses that I hear all the time. And I heard in my own words, I've heard in some of my own companies over the years. We do that all the time. It's one of my favorite all-time excuses. Now, what I always tell guys, tell me the last time we had a grab off the second floor utilizing BES. Do we really do that all the time? When's the last time we stretched a deuce and a half, 300 feet, spun the tip, attached a hose bundle, and advanced interior? Do we do that all the time? We don't do that all the time. So when you hear those excuses, those are the answers I always try to go back with. Even if it's pulling the cross lay, all I got to do is add in BAs in a different lay or a few obstacles. We don't do that all the time, but could we do it tonight? The answer to that's real simple. That'd be yes. The firefighters think I'm already good at that. I'm already good at dressing out. I'm already good at pulling hose. I'm already good at this. Well, good's not good enough. Good is just like saying I'm okay at it. When you are great at it, you still keep doing it. And if you look at professional athletes, if you look at Navy SEAL training, Navy SEALs aren't at war 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, but they're drilling all the time like they're going to have to perform a mission next week or next day. It's the same for us. There's no way we can't be good at everything. Being good at something and not training on it is going to make you not good. That's when we talked about the Are we just going to be the minimum fire department, minimum training standards, or are we going to be great at this job? One of my all-time favorites is that we're never going to have to do that. We're never going to BS. We're never going to make a grab. We're never going to have to rescue a firefighter. Everything that I showed you with the firefighter, with Lieutenant Clark Glass, they use ladders, use multiple ladders. They had to get air to, they couldn't get air to, they had to cut under extreme conditions to cut him free to get him out of there. They had to bring him down a ladder. Are we ever going to do it again? Hopefully not. But that excuse of we're never going to do that, or the other old time favorite, we're never going to have a fire there. And if you need a way to get around that excuse, I guarantee that the 343 members of the fire of FDNY did not ever think that they were going to see not one but two jet airliners crash into the Twin Towers. They were prepared because they're that good. They weren't prepared for, say jet airliners, but they were prepared for high-rise operations. So that excuse is immediately eliminated because we don't know what we're going to have to do from day to day, shift to shift, and fire department to fire department. It's the weekend. That's one of my other old-time favorites. Well, Captain, it's Sunday. We're getting paid, or if you're not getting paid. We have fires on Sundays. We have fires when it rains. We have fire when it's hot. We have fires when it's cold. So the weekend excuse is one of the weakest ones. My favorite days to drill were actually weekends because typically our call volume as far as like EMS and nuisance alarms was down a little bit at certain times of the day. Weekends, Sunday mornings were a fantastic time to get out and drill, and usually got good company drills in without interruptions. One of the and you guys, if you didn't have a chance to see the website address I put up, I can always bring that up at the very end again if you want to copy that. I just wrote a small blog about developing in-house company training, and one of the biggest killers is that right there, the inconsistency factors. Kill more training programs, whether at the department level or at the fire station level. And if you can't go back or go to a seminar or go to a big conference and, man, we're going to train every day, and you train one day and then you don't do shit for the next 3 days or the next 3 shifts, and then you come back, we're going to drill today. Eventually the guys will figure out that this is all just checkbox training. He's just going through the motions. When we're inconsistent with drills is how we destroy training programs before they ever truly get up and running. So it's something I really harp on, that you've got to be consistent. I'm not saying drill them into the ground every day. Don't take this the wrong way, but I've got to do something every day. And something could be as simple as pulling up to a vacant house, stretching a line, doing a walk around, talking about size, and talking about BIM construction, but we're doing something every day because those opportunities are there in front of us every single day to do something. Another big one, kind of look at webinars sometimes. They can be a little boring at times because we don't have the interaction and the face-to-face and the conversations that go. But when training's really boring, I think probably everybody that's on here, and if you haven't experienced this, I hope you never do, is the instructor who, only thing you see of the instructor is his ass, because he's literally has his ass towards you, his face in his screen, and he's reading word for word for word for word, and even going period every slide on the thing. If you're that instructor, you need to just go ahead and log off now and ask for your money back because you don't need to be here. You have to be prepared for your classes, and that may mean rehearsals. That I literally made changes to this, 30 minutes for a dialogue. I'm always looking to make improvements on things, so you've got to be prepared. Overcoming it. Remember, someone is at home hoping you come home. Well, hopefully you got somebody at home going, man, I sure hope he gets home tomorrow. I love this. I've heard this said, in different ways, but when you look at yourself, the way you train, the way you're prepared, the way you're educated about the American Fire Service, educated about your organization, are you comfortable enough that you'd want to go be the guy to go rescue your own family? And if you can't answer 1,000% yes, then you need to kind of look at how you're doing your training and what you may want to do to improve that. I'm a big believer that there's guys in everybody on your fire department, everybody in your firehouse has strengths and abilities and skills that maybe you don't possess. I don't care if you're the boss or if you're the rookie. I always wanted my guys, one of the coolest things was watch our rookie teach us something about a hose load we've been using for 10 years or longer than that, 15 years. He said, "Hey, Cat, what about if we just did this one?" It changed everything. We did it the way we were pulling the hose from the opposite side. And this guy had been at the station for like 6 seconds. But if we allow guys to have input and feedback, it's amazing what we can learn from each other. That little technique with the 2.5 there with firefighter Peters is right in front of our station. It's a rainy, crappy day, and we stretched toes and we're practicing using webbing to take some of the weight off in a defensive posture. These are little things that you pick up on that you can do and try at your station. This is not a big, long, drawn-out drill. It's a rainy, crappy day, but we still did drill that day. So I always talk about building systems. And one of the big things, and again, I can't tell you how to run your fire stations or your fire departments. I'm going to tell you what I found worked. Firefighters as a whole like consistency when they come to work. And especially when we work in an environment that's so inconsistent, it really helps when you're trying to develop your training programs. So I always operated kind of from the 7 to 13 mindset. And that mindset was from the time we walk in the door, and all my guys and all of us, we always were at the station an hour before, and we relieved the crew, and we do coffee, the BS paperwork. We were literally done with the routine part of the day, typically before 7:30 ever hit. Then we'd have breakfast, finish out apparatus things, and then we drill. But we always tried to finish the day, and it's not going to be every single shift. From 7 to 1300, it was all fire, all business, all training, all that time. At 1 o'clock, I was done. I was done with them. They were done for the day, and they knew this. They knew that was from 1 until dinner. They were going to work out. They were going to study. They were going to nap. I'm a bad boss, I guess. I encouraged my guys to nap at this particular engine house. I did not know if we were going to sleep all night or if we were not going to sleep inside the firehouse that night. That's how that station ran. Where one shift you were out from the time it got dark till the sun came up, and other shifts you may only get up once. So I wanted the guys to be well rested. So if they wanted to go nap, and my last crew was really good about working out, and then I could hear them snoring from my office all the way to the second floor of the firehouse. So they were really strong believers in my nap theories. But that built a consistent program. If I wasn't out there around 9:30 or 10 saying, "Hey, we're going to do this," they would be knocking on my office door. "Hey, Captain, we're going today. What are we doing today?" And they really helped lead the train because of the consistency factor. Yeah, I can't tell you go back to your chief. Say, "Hey, chief, we only want to work till 1 o'clock." They were still working, but we were taking care of what we want to take care of in a better time frame, in my opinion. If you send guys to conferences, and again, bosses, or if you go to a conference or you have a member go to a conference, I always, when they came back from a training session, is I wanted them to show me and the other guys in the company what they learned that day, what they learned at the conference. One of our guys went to a really cool class on some different ground ladder carries and techniques. So the very day he came back from that training, we went out and he showed us everything he learned, and then we mastered those techniques, and we always practiced them. Some really cool ladder flips that I had never done before. And if we found that you could do it no matter if you were 6 foot tall or 5 foot tall, you could do these techniques. And it was really cool to have those guys show us and teach other firefighters what they had learned at a drill. So these are ways to kind of overcome and keep that consistency factor and keep everybody kind of fresh. I love the phrase firehouse. If you're using fire station, I try to stay away from fire station. I love the term firehouse, and I think it should be a place that guys get up and look forward to going to. It should be a great place to go to every single time you go to work. I was laughing. I was telling my wife the other night, the one thing I missed the firehouse. Bullshit that goes along with the job. Sometimes I miss fires, and I miss the firehouse, and I miss the guys. That's it. But if the firehouse is a great place to be and to go to, it's amazing how your training and everything improves too, because we're motivated to come to work. It's funny when one of the original versions of this program is several years old now, and it seems to even be more relative today. That number 2 about being respectful, honest, and supportive. has kind of got lost in society as a whole. But I don't care what the guy's about. I don't care if you've got a fill-in guy that maybe is that slug. I'm still going to be respectful. I'm going to be honest with him. If he's a slug, I'm going to be honest with him about him being a slug. I'm going to support him in unbecoming a slug. And those are some real challenges, but it's a motivation tool too. If you're investing your time, the group around me there is all acting officers, learning how to be officers, and we do a live fire scenario in here. These are all jam up guys. Some of these guys are now lieutenants of captain on our job from this picture from several years ago. Give them opportunities. I don't care if the guy's been there for 1 second. That video I was kind of talking about, this guy that was full of shit about being this firefighter at 9 years old, was talking about how we're going to bash the rookie and how we're going to break him in, and all he's going to be doing is cleaning and cooking. Yeah, the rookie's going to cook and the rookie's going to clean, but so is all the other members of that company, because that's what we're supposed to do, is work as a team. But my rookie gave his input and his ideas. It made us a better company because he learned some things and we learned from him. So we have to give those opportunities. I don't care if they've been on the job 1 year, 50 years. We have to provide opportunities for people to speak up and give their input and ideas. And you'd be amazed of how many guys in that one photograph had 1,000 good ideas. Not going to implement every idea, obviously, but it's an opportunity for us to really look at and learn from each other when we give those opportunities. Positive and immediate feedback, talking to firefighters, especially the 20, 21, 22, 23-year-olds, but they're allowed to, and the more feedback they receive from a senior member or from the boss himself, the more they feel engaged with the American Fire Service, the more they feel engaged with the organization and with that company. If one of the things I highly recommend is immediate hot washes after bad incidents. It doesn't always have to be a fire. It can be a really nasty EMS call that maybe we could have did this a little bit quicker. Maybe we should have moved the patient to this location. Maybe we shouldn't have parked the engine here for the car fire. But immediate feedback after calls goes a long way, because once you go home, you start forgetting things. It's really important to do those feedback moments right there. I'm a huge believer in hot wash on the scene, not 2, 3, 4 shifts later. Let's talk about it right now. That's how we correct things and how we make things better. Flexible engage. If you're a boss who doesn't like to train, you need to move on. You need to get out of your current situation, or maybe go retire or whatever you want to do. But if you're not engaged with the training, it's not going to mean a lot to the other members. Had some guys recently leave a department, and a lot of it had to involve the boss himself, who was more concerned about meeting women than he was training as firefighters. That's not where we need to be in the American Fire Service. Be flexible, because we don't know what the day is going to be, so we've got to always be prepared. So no excuses and no more bullshit about training. Here are some real easy steps. You can screenshot this, take a picture of it, use it. I don't care. The picture you see here is, some of you may not be familiar with the term hose tower. We used to always have to, we literally, when I came on the job, we had to label and rack the hose. So after the fire, we'd come back, pull all dry hose, and all was numbered. So we knew number this was on the rig, and this and this was in the hose tower. And we had, it was a book like this big. It was insanity. So, but this was our old hose tower. It became our gear locker. Here's how easy drills can be if you're planning. It's hard to see in the picture. I know the firefighter in the lead, I don't know if you can see my cursor, but he is entangled, and you can see it through there. All I did was run a charged hose line through the hose tower, into the apparatus floor, back out the front of the firehouse. It's a foot. But in that 150-foot stretch, these guys are having to manipulate and work their way through debris, ladders, wires, other hose lines, me throwing stuff at them, and working on their entanglement skills. So these two went, and then me and another firefighter went, and I think they, and we time each other. So we're racing, we're doing things to make the drill fun and challenging, and mastering and working on our skill sets. So you can really do a lot of these things. We talked about the consistency. I teach a communications class. I'm one of the biggest believers, and yes, sometimes you do get in trouble for doing this, but it's okay. I like to ask why and what, and you should be prepared to answer the why and the what. Why are we doing this? What are we doing this for? Why are we changing this? What's the benefits? But if we're not asking each other why we do certain things or what we're doing it for, then we can't improve as an organization from our communication standpoint. I always try to encourage, especially young guys. I guarantee in every class you guys teach or attend, you've got questions, but you won't ask the why because it can be hard to ask in front of, 20, 30, 40, 50 guys. Get comfortable with that. It's okay to ask, and we have to get comfortable with answering the why and asking why are we doing things. Basic to advanced skills. I'm, like I said, we got to master our basics before we can, do other things. So I'm a big believer in those basic skill sets. Everything you're seeing here, entanglement hazards, cutting wire is a basic, certain degrees, it depends on how you look at it, but these are skill sets we have to be drilling and practice on. Creative and challenging, how creative this is, I don't know, but it was definitely a challenging drill. Even though we're only crawling 150 feet, when you have to get through obstacles because this hose goes underneath the table and around, it's a challenge to exit the building is what we're simulating here, that we're having to do an emergency exit. Drills should not be 4 hours. I worked captain early in my career, and he was a big 5-inch hose guy. His idea of a drill was dropping 800 to 1,000 feet of 5-inch and then putting it back on the truck. One, it's not creative. The only thing challenging about it is that you literally hate loading 5-inch hose, and you actually start discussing ways to frag the captain in his sleep. Short and intense drills work way, way better. And they're also, as adult learners, we learn more from a very short, intense session versus huge believer in that, especially when we're doing hands-on type of things. Combine your skill sets. The drill you're seeing here, we combined a rapid dress with this. So you have a rapid dress outside the building, mask up, which had, press seal on there, so we kind of blurred vision. And then we went into that part of the drill. So we were combining multiple skill sets. Why do in one drill? The end goal of this drill is to work on entanglement. But by doing the rapid dress, and then when we do rapid dress, I'm looking at, do they have their waist straps on? Do they have their radio straps correct? Are there chin straps, ear flaps? These are ways we combine our skills and master our skills all at the same time. So it's kind of a cool way to look at it. I love when a drill makes me think, or a student makes me think, or an instructor makes me think. Throwing little curveballs like we're doing here is a challenge. It's intensive at times. But if I don't throw curveballs during a drill, what happens at a fire when that curveball hits? Where the floor gives way a little bit, or I lose water pressure, I have pump failure, fire's on 5, but I have no standpipe system. How do I get water to the 5th floor? How do I move hose to the 5th floor? So throwing little curveballs are really, really good ways, especially with your younger firefighters. I'm throwing you curveballs, it's keeping your mind engaged. So it's always making guys think. So it's another way to kind of look at training. Form good habits, rapid dress, hose pulling, form good habits. Because if we train like shit, we're going to perform like shit. And it's just as simple as I can make that. Again, you go back to pro sports. Drew Brees, all these great quarterbacks, they'll throw 4 balls in warm up. They're good habits with their skill sets and their techniques on how to throw the football. So those are things we can do in the fire service a lot better too. Practice like you play, pallets, parking decks, fire station, bacon structures, all make great training props. Again, things we want to look at, 5 pallets, and you scab 5 pallets together, you can make some bends so you can work on advancing hose and positioning firefighters, or, to make, to move hose around those things. Is the greatest? No, but it beats just stretching straight across the parking lot. I love parking decks because there's a lot of options there on a Sunday parking deck when there's nobody at that facility. You can do rope stretch. You can do lines over ladder. You can do some simulated DES by throwing ground ladders. There's a lot of little options if you have parking decks in your area. The fire station that you saw in here was built like 1 billion years ago, so it has a basement, and the second floor on the backside is almost 3 full stories. So it gave us a lot of options. Not every station's like that, but look around your district and your different fire stations. Those are really cool ways to have guys work on hose and ladder skills sometimes. Vacant structures, depending on what your policies are. I'm a huge believer if it's vacant and ain't really nasty. Those are great places to look at. Time things, race. I love case studies are a great way to learn. That's why I use the Notch ports. If you look at the very top of that picture, this is a very, very small 1-story wood frame on a crawl space that's 2 bedrooms. This spiral staircase is inside this 1-story wood frame, and it leads up to where the kids slept. When we talk about case studies and training opportunities, this fire call, I was a BC at this fire. All the fire was a couple outside planks on fire from the guy that didn't know how to operate a grill correctly. The fire was out with 3 gallons of water, but the guys went inside to check for smoke, and they called me down. And this is what they found inside the house. So we started talking about how do one of the guys saw his BA on. He could not make the turn up the spiral staircase with his breathing apparatus on his back. He was a bigger guy. So these are great ideas and ways that we can train on those other days. So even that most routine call became a training. We had, I still had 3 engine companies there and a truck, and we ended up doing a whole, we didn't train them people's house, but it became a training opportunity for our guys. And then your building inspections and building tours is a great way to work on your building construction skill sets, your size up. Simulate a fire on this side of the house, that side of the building, and then decide, get guys to start thinking about where do we stretch a line at. So these are just real quick down and dirty drill ideas. This is a real easy way if you're in a part of the country that's extremely hot or extremely cold or really crappy weather. This is a picture of a flea market that was in our first due district. And by taking one photograph off the internet, actually I took this picture, but I took this picture and we used it later, put it up on my laptop at the firehouse, and we started talking about what is the construction. This is type 2 construction. Is it open or enclosed structure? This is a enclosed structure. There's not enough windows and doors to allow for ventilation, entry, and egress. That's what we call an enclosed structure. The fuel load, there's no real easy way to describe the fuel load, but imagine everything you've ever thought of and put inside this building. That's what was inside here, from clothes to cleaning to shoes to wigs, you name it, it was inside. It's inside the Metro Mart USA. Ventilation issues. How do we ventilate this? Your really only option here is vertical ventilation, because this is it. There's no windows. It's these 3 doors to allow for ventilation. It does have a sprinkler that's about 1 million years old, and not real sure about the service of that sprinkler, but the connection is on the Bravo side near the Charlie corner. So these are things to ask your guys, especially if you have a driver who hadn't been in this building ever. So closest hydrant was 300 feet away. Are we going 2.5 or 1.75 inches? I think the majority of the folks on here would say 2.5, and that'd be the correct answer, obviously. And how do we search this? And again, ask your firefighter, how do you search this? Some guys are going to say large area search kits. Some guys are younger guys may say, well, I'd probably start left or right hand search, which you're not going to cover even a small fraction of the size of this building. So these are things from a drill standpoint we can do real easy. So this is in the same building I just showed you. And all I did when I put this picture up, actually, when we went up and did this walk through here, I asked, how are we getting in? More importantly, how do we get out? Is wall breach an option? Could we break through the cinder block? This is like too deep, so wall breach would be extremely difficult. What tools will we utilize? But this is the interior. This is my favorite part of this. The store was open when I took this photograph, by the way. Emergency exit, padlock, another one here, drop bar, drop bar, padlock on each drop bar, and then the sliding bolt goes about 6 inches deep into the masonry with another padlock that you would have played hell trying to get any kind of bolt cutters on. So these are really cool ways. Again, when one of the things I talked about, how do I make my guys think? How do you make your firefighters think? Think about the forcible entry challenges with this one photograph that any of you have access to. And you can pull these from all over the internet and probably within your own, especially if you can find these kind of things in your own response district. Take a quick picture. Take a quick picture if you encounter a spiral staircase and ask, how do we bring a victim down? How do we bring a firefighter down a spiral staircase? And so one of my favorite things about teaching, and I hope as instructors out there, making things challenging but being creative in the process without just trying to beat guys up is the cool thing. If I'm just out here trying to beat guys up, shit, we can get anybody to do that. But how we're making, and hopefully as we're doing this for the people still watching and the people that will watch it in the day or next day or so, that they're going to look at this door and literally stop and go, man, how do we, this is how I have to get out. We are trapped in the back of this building. How are we going to get out? And the only thing I brought with me was a set of irons. So this is where we can really get guys engaged and thinking and having these discussions. I'm going to play this real quick, so I think it's important. I may stop it a little bit short, but I want you guys to listen to this real quick, and then we're going to be getting close to wrapping up for you this evening. I don't know what our timeline was, but listen to this for a second. I do not know why. I just now, Gina just texted me. I just saw that that the audio is not on. Let me try one more time here, real quick, folks. Is that working now? I don't care about it. The video is just a series of stills. Well, I'm going to hold the audio there and just kind of, if you've not ever heard this, has happened, obviously, November of 2019, Lieutenant Menard. When you hear the radio traffic where the firefighter, where they say the firefighter's falling out the back window, that firefighter was actually kind of pushed out the back window by Lieutenant Jason Menard. He suffered extensive injuries, but he lived. Prior to that, Lieutenant Menard had also assisted a rookie firefighter off the main fire floor and went back to get the help the other firefighter, and he was overtaken by the fire. He left behind a wife and 3 children. I don't play that to make guys go, oh my God, our safety is first. It's not about that. It's about gaining understanding. This is not, some run-of-the-mill fire department. This is a top-shelf fire department in our country. Has suffered some major, you can study the cold storage warehouse fire if you want to learn more about, these other type of fires, some of the tragedies this department has suffered over the years. But if we don't take these opportunities to learn, we're going to see these things happen again. And one of the questions I always ask in the class, I know it's a little bit hard with the webinar type thing, is they were inside for the right reasons. They had report of a baby trapped or grabs made at this fire. It's an incredible overall job. It's just gaining understanding, and then when you listen to these pieces of radio traffic, is looking at your own policies, whether it's Mayday, rapid intervention, the way we're labeling buildings, whether it's Alpha, Bravo, Charlie, are we saying A, B, C, D? How are we doing things? And what can we do if we have a firefighter trap? This is a house fire that they're used to responding to. These large 3-story wood frame houses are common in this part of the country. So it wasn't like this was the first time Lieutenant Menard ever operated a 3-story house. So it's important we understand, we learn, and this is how we honor Lieutenant Menard. This is how we honor the firefighters that were killed in Charleston. This is how we honor each other in our job by learning from this, and not just going, man, they shouldn't have done that. And unfortunately, that's what a lot of guys do when they listen to this. I listen to this, go, would I have done something different? How can I be better? How can I make sure we can position apparatus a little bit differently at our next fire? And that's what you guys should look at when you listen to these things and understand that one of the first comments in this presentation was about Lieutenant Menard lost his life, but his death had a profound effect on the organization, his friends, and obviously had a profound effect on his wife and 3 young kids. So it's important we understand next time that you have that guy who isn't really, in the training or doesn't really think we need to drill or we've done that a million times. These are opportunities for us to get better. I don't, one of my favorite questions always asked, and I ask this in a lot of different classes, is when is the next bad fire? The answer all of you should be given to yourselves or out loud or whatever right now is we don't know. If we're at the station right now, that fire could be starting to burn at this very second somewhere in your first new district. It may be next shift, maybe next weekend, maybe next year. But we all know from experience and future experiences for some of the younger members that next bad day is coming. It's going to happen. We're going to have another fatality. We're going to have another bad fire. And the best thing we can do is to be better prepared with our training and being more creative with our training, talking to each other, learning from each other, using resources like Fire Nuggets. I mean, this is an incredible resource that's available to everybody across this country. People like the guys from Elkhart Brass, Jerry and Stretch, are available. They love, I'm available. I'll talk fire anywhere, any day, anytime. And people, I don't know everybody on here. Obviously, I know one of our people tonight with Dina. These people are available. We just need to do a better job of sharing with each other sometimes and learn more about the job. It's one of my favorite things. I know guys have made T-shirts with the Kool-Aid guy, but it's okay to love the job. And when you love the job, you want to be great at the job. And when you're great at the job, you're going to train for the job. So I think it's one that really, as funny as that may look and can be, um, yeah, it's a huge part. I want to take this back up real quick in case anybody missed that, just so if somebody wanted to reach out, they would know all my contact information if you came on a little bit late. We do operate a Facebook page. I operate a very small training company, and it's more for, because I had to have something. When your accountant says you're getting W-9 to death. So Fire Life Training Associates, we post a lot of stuff on there. Like I said, I just did a blog on developing that training in your firehouse, and a lot of little tips in that you can read and look at, use, and events that we'll be at, and course lists, those type of things are all in there. And then the easiest, obviously, shoot me a text message, or if I don't recognize the number, I don't always answer, but you text message me, I'll respond, or just shoot me an email anytime you want. Joe, are you still there? Everything good with your wife, brother? See if Joe comes back on. Joe was at the hospital, if you guys didn't know that, for the people that are on here. So let me ask, does anybody have any questions? I think Joe may have had to sign off for a minute. Does anybody have any questions? If you do, it's a great time. Let's see if I can pull fixed facility. Some of these were for a while ago. So gas props suck. I love that. Flashover cams are probably the best place to learn fire behavior. I love that. Stretching lines into vacant structures, yes. Leading the fire attack and protecting egress. Great comment by Sean. Jessica said no sound, but I think we got that fixed. Then some answers to the three, to the number of deaths. Instead of me typing, I'm just kind of saying them out loud real quick. So unfortunately, I think Joe had to take care of that. If you have questions, you can either reach out to Fire Nuggets and Joe. You can reach out to me, and hopefully everybody got, if you picked up one or two things, and what do we have here? The little less than 2, I think is a good time. It was well worth your time, definitely well worth my time, and hopefully everybody got a little something out of that. And if there's no other questions, let me see. I got one chat stand by, just in case something that we want to share with everybody. Thanks. Bye. Okay, that's great. Thank you. I appreciate it. As always, man, I always tell, I do not take these opportunities for granted. I truly enjoy sharing and talking with firefighters. And I said, please do not hesitate to reach out if you have anything else. Sign off, and hopefully we'll be hearing from everybody soon. And I appreciate it. Thank you so much.